John 8:32 explained, "The truth that breaks the system." There is a phrase of Jesus that has been turned into a religious slogan, engraved on walls, quoted in courtrooms, and repeated in political speeches. "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." But almost no one notices that, in its original context, this statement was not meant to comfort. It was meant to confront. And the confrontation escalated so intensely that it ended in an attempt to stone him. If this truth brings freedom, why did it provoke immediate hostility? Jesus was not speaking to atheists or pagans. He was speaking to religious Jews who had believed in him. The setting described in the Gospel of John chapter 8 is charged with tension, authority, tradition, and national identity. When he says, "If you continue in my word," he establishes a condition. Truth is not casual information. It is perseverance. It is submission. It is relationship. And that already begins to destabilize religious pride. When Jesus declares that the truth will set them free, the listeners respond immediately, "We have never been slaves to anyone." The statement is almost ironic. Israel had been enslaved in Egypt, exiled in Babylon, and at that very moment was under Roman rule. So what are they defending? They are defending a narrative, an identity built on covenant and ancestry. And here, Jesus strikes the deepest nerve. The slavery he speaks of is not political. It is spiritual. Everyone who commits sin is a slave to sin. That sentence detonates their internal system. Jesus shifts the axis of freedom. He does not attack Rome. He confronts the human heart. He does not challenge the visible empire. He exposes the invisible one. And that is far more threatening than political revolution. Here is what is rarely emphasized. Jesus is telling deeply religious people that they may be enslaved without knowing it. Invisible slavery is the most dangerous kind. When someone knows they are imprisoned, they seek escape. But when they believe they are already free, they resist liberation. In the Gospel of John, truth is not abstract philosophy. It is revelation embodied. In John 14:6, Jesus declares that he himself is the truth. Therefore, knowing the truth is not merely adopting correct doctrine. It is encountering a person who dismantles internal illusions. And here begins the disruptive dimension of the text. Biblical freedom is not autonomy. It is transfer of allegiance. It is not absence of lordship. It is change of lordship. Whoever practices sin serves sin. Whoever is freed by the Son serves God. That is not radical independence. It is radical realignment. The dialogue intensifies when Jesus says that a slave does not remain in the house forever, but the son remains forever. He implies something explosive. Biological descent from Abraham does not guarantee spiritual permanence. Cultural inheritance does not produce freedom. Tradition cannot substitute transformation. Notice the pattern in John 8. The more Jesus speaks about truth, the stronger the resistance becomes. Truth does not receive applause. It provokes crisis. Truth exposes illusions, and illusions defend themselves aggressively. When Jesus declares, "If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed," he centralizes authority in himself. Freedom is not granted by state, tradition, or religious system. It is granted by the Son. Any structure claiming ultimate spiritual control is challenged by that statement. Another rarely explored layer appears when they insist, "Abraham is our father." Jesus responds that true children of Abraham would act as Abraham did. Declared identity does not equal authentic identity. That is one of the most unsettling messages of the chapter. The confrontation reaches its peak when Jesus proclaims, "Before Abraham was, I am." This echoes the divine name revealed in Exodus. At that moment, the discussion about freedom becomes a discussion about divine identity. The truth that liberates is inseparable from who he claims to be. Observe the progression. The promise begins softly, but ends with attempted execution. That reveals something profound. Biblical truth does not merely comfort. It confronts, divides, exposes, and forces decision. Liberation begins with deconstruction. In a modern culture that equates freedom with self-definition, John 8 redefines freedom as alignment with divine revelation. It is not self-assertion. It is surrender. It is not affirmation of the ego. It is transformation of the heart. This means someone can repeat John 8:32 endlessly and remain enslaved if they do not continue in his word. The isolated phrase becomes a slogan. The full context becomes a mirror. The truth that sets free does not reinforce personal illusions. It dismantles them. It does not protect religious identity built only on heritage. It demands evidence of transformation. So the real meaning of John 8:32 is not motivational optimism. It is a dangerous invitation. To know the truth is to allow it to reveal hidden bondage. It is to accept that freedom is not automatic through religious background. It is granted by the Son. And perhaps that explains why the phrase has been softened over centuries. When read within the full narrative of John 8, it does not strengthen systems of control. It relocates authority entirely in Christ. If this deeper reading of John 8:32 challenged you, go beyond the slogan. Read the entire chapter. Let the text confront you without filters. And ask yourself, are we truly free, or simply repeating words we have never allowed to examine us?